Good evening, everyone. It's 6:30, and I'd like to welcome everyone to the commission meeting for Tuesday, March the 10th, and welcome also our citizens that are watching online. At this time, we'd have a roll call.
Mayor Faulkner.
Here.
Vice Mayor Maples.
Here.
Commissioner Golden.
Here.
Commissioner Kendall.
Here.
And Commissioner Hendricks is absent this evening.
All right. At this time, we'll have the invocation by Pastor Eves Kinwanga, First United Methodist. Would you please stand and remain standing following the invocation for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, good evening, everyone. It's good to be here. I'm Pastor Eve from the First Methodist Church in town. I have a short reading for you, and then we're going to do the responsive prayer together. So you will respond with the what is in bold on the paper. So it's a short reading from the Gospel of Luke, chapter 10, and I will just read a few verses. And who is my neighbor? In reply, Jesus said, a man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho when he was attacked by robbers. They stripped him of his clothes, beat him, and went away, leaving him half dead. A priest happened to be going down the same road, and when he saw the man, he passed by on the other side. So too a Levite, when he came to the place and saw him, passed by on the other side. But a Samaritan, as he traveled, came where the man was, and when he saw him, he took pity on him. He went to him and bandaged his wound, pouring on oil and wine. Then he put the man on his own donkey, brought him to an inn, and took care of him. The next day, he took out 2 denarii and gave them to the innkeeper. Look after him, he said, and whenever reimburse you for any extra expense you may have. Which of these 3 do you think was a neighbor to the man who fell into the hand of robbers? The experts in the law replied, the one who had mercy on him. Jesus told him, go and do likewise. Please pray with me. God of compassion, in this story, 2 respected local men saw a person in need and passed by on the other side.
The one considered an outsider saw the same person in need and stopped.
This is how people live each day in this community, away from big powers. They care for one another like brothers and sisters. That's the city at its best.
So tonight, Lord, give us leaders clear eyes, not to pass by the need in front of them, and not to serve applause or argument, but to serve all their neighbors.
In a town our size, the work before this commission affects real lives every day. Bless those gathered here tonight, the mayor, commissioners, city manager, staff, volunteers, and all public servants who work quietly behind the scenes. Give them wisdom for difficult decisions, patience when the work feels heavy, the humility to remember who they are here for, and a steady commitment to serve everyone in our community.
Remind us that the work of our city public servants is much like that of the Samaritan on the road, seeing someone in need, refusing to pass by, and doing what we can with the resources we have.
Lord, Coffeyville is already a caring place. Help it grow even more into a place where people do not cross the street to avoid those in need, but pause, help, and lift one another up, even the stranger.
So as this commission tonight, may the simple command from the story guide us now and always.
Now go and do likewise.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. Next, we have a review of the agenda. Are there any additions or corrections to the previous agenda, previous minutes? B.
Yes, we do have an amendment on the agenda to remove Resolution R 2632.
Okay, that's for the current
Yes,
agenda.
yes.
Yeah, the question was for any corrections to the previous agenda
No, this-
minutes. Previous
We're on
minutes.
review of the agenda.
This is a
Okay, all
review
right,
of the agenda.
All right.
Well, I will move to amend the agenda to remove Resolution R-26-32 from new business.
Second.
Motion is made by Vice Mayor Maples, seconded by Mayor Faulkner to amend the agenda to remove Resolution R-26-32 from new business. Vice Mayor Maples.
Aye.
Commissioner Golden.
Aye.
Commissioner Kendall.
Aye.
Mayor Faulkner.
Aye. And now for the consent agenda. Number one, the city commission meeting minutes from Tuesday, February 24th. Were there any additions or corrections?
No.
All right, then. Are there any questions or any issues that need to be raised concerning the consent agenda? Commissioner, as I believe you
Yes.
wanted to make some comments.
Yes, I do. So I believe in the consent agenda, we have a couple items that is roughly around I think one was 92,000 and then one was some thousand. I don't have the exact numbers. But 92,436 is one. So I'm wondering why we're putting big monetary resolutions that were for new appropriations in the consent agenda when it gets passed as a whole.
Which, Commissioner, which items are you talking about?
One is the KDOT cost share.
Okay. We can have Amber Dean come up and speak to those grants, so you're aware of what's in there.
All right, thank you.
Do you just want me to go down the list?
I'm just wondering why that we're putting them in consent agenda and not on its own resolution, because it's new appropriation funding.
So it is it is a resolution that you're passing under the consent agenda. It's just a grant application. So if we're not awarded the grant, we won't move forward with the projects.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
All three of those, 4, 5, and 6, are for grant applications. So in the instance of a grant, we get permission to go out and apply, or upon award, we'd have to bring that back to commission for approval of, whatever those funds may be. It may be that the 90,000 is our portion of that matching of a grant. Each of those grants relatively is different. The one grant on there, I would just point out, the item number 5, the slip-on tanker grant, that is something that we've already purchased, but this grant will give us reimbursement for that purchase. The other two are for future purchases if commission decides. But yeah, just grants at this point.
Okay, all right, yep, I just seen the new appropriation, so I wanted to see why. Thank you.
Any other questions? Then I move to approve. Oh, excuse me. Would you please, I almost ran by the financial.
You did.
The finance. Please
That's
give
okay.
us a synopsis.
All
Thank
right,
you.
let's some highlights of what we appropriated this last period. We've got American Fidelity Assurance Company. Those are insurance premiums, $15,125.06. Asplund Tree Expert Company, $10,487.20. City of Coffeyville for a variety of things, $111,238.92. CRMC for a sales tax distribution of $102,859.30. Commercial Bank for a fire truck purchase and interest, $30,023.18. GE Prolec Transformers, Inc. for a transformer B sub, $998,700. Goins Enterprises for water line replacer, $235,199.77. High-low tree service, more tree removal, $2,300. ING life insurance and annuity, $12,860.05. Kansas Eastern Insurance Trust, $223,314. Kansas Municipal Utilities, $23,500. Lochner for the runway, $5,760. Meriton Health, more insurance. We pay a lot of insurance. $101,137.36. Midwest Electric Transformer Service for repair of transformers, $7,670.48. Okay, and then a payroll this period of $896,069.44. Any questions?
Any questions there? All right, then, just as kind of a one-liner for the benefit of the press and the listening audience, the rest of the consent agenda items, just real quick, will be increasing the speed limit from 30 to 40 miles an hour on East 8th Street by the ballpark and on out to the city limits. There's a grant application for body cams for the police department, and then a tanker for the fire department. And then the reference that Commissioner Williams was talking about was the beginning of the street work on Overlook, and that will be from 11th to 8th Street. So, any other questions? Okay. In that case, I move to approve consent agenda items 1 through 6 as presented.
I'll second.
I do have a question with it. I apologize, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
Will there be a 40-mile-an-hour speed limit permanently, or during game times when the students and the games are being played, will that be slowed back down?
I believe it was a permanent. Can you address that?
Yeah, right now, the speed limit outside of the city limits there at the county is 45,
Right.
goes right to 30.
Right.
So that will go 45 to 40 as it gets to, I believe, the last street there at the park. That will be when it transitions down to 30 before the highway.
Thank you.
No adjustments.
No
as
adjusting
activities
during
are
game
required.
time and whatnot?
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
No
then.
further
Okay.
questions.
Motion stands. Second.
Second.
Okay. Motion is made by Mayor Faulkner, seconded by Vice Mayor Maples, to approve items 1 through 6 of the consent agenda as presented. Commissioner Golden,
Aye.
Commissioner Kendall,
Aye.
Mayor Faulkner,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Maples.
Aye.
At this time, we have comments from the public. Any citizen desiring to address the commission shall be recognized, advance to the podium, state his or her name and address for the record. Comments shall be limited to 3 minutes unless extended by a vote of the majority of the commission. The commission does not hear matters involving litigation or city personnel. The commission does not take action on subjects not on the agenda unless unusual or hardship conditions exist. Citizens may address the commission on agenda items as they are brought to the floor. Are there any present who wish to speak?
City Manager, Paul, Mayor, Commissioners. I'm Mike Bradley. I served Coffeyville for 26 years proudly as a police officer. I'm retired now. I'm third generation city of Coffeyville. My grandfather started in the late 30s, early 40s. My Uncle Gale started in the 50s, early 60s at the power plant. I did 3 years part-time at the power plant. And then came the choice, I became Coffeyville's dog catcher. Yeah. And like 1992, and then 93, I took on the police department. And I'm proud of it. I'm proud of Coffeyville. I didn't have to live here. I chose to be here. Coffeyville's a great city. I truly believe it. But anyway, we're here tonight. My son loves Coffeyville. and he wanted to say a few things to you guys tonight. And so I'm just going to let him talk, if you'll allow him to talk to you for about 3 minutes. You ready to talk? Go ahead, son.
Hello, my name is D'Angelo Bradley. I'm the dancer of Coffeyville as Michael Jackson, the legendary King of Pop. And I'm here because I adore Coffeyville, and it does need peace because I'm sick of everything being torn apart, buildings being breaking into, everybody causing a ruckus, and it does need changing, and it does need peace, and everything needs to stop and just let it go and move on. And we do need new things in Coffeyville because I hate seeing people leave. People I know is leaving, and I hate seeing that. What this city needs is Starbucks building, and what else? We do need Chili's restaurant because I love Chili's. Even in Bartlesville, they have Chili's, and I love their barbecues. I adore their food so much. I'm just like, man, we should have that in Coffeyville. And definitely an arcade because I love playing games a lot. Since I can't play games at home because my 360 broke down, it's just really sad for me. And we do need Whataburger because, what I forgot what state it has, but I tried a Whataburger and I was like, oh my gosh, it tastes so good. Like their hamburger, the meat is just it's driving me crazy.
Try their patty melt.
Yeah. And we do need, what else we need? It's in my head. Oh, I know we had King Savers and Dollar Tree, but how about we get JCPenney, people? You know how much I love shopping for new clothes, and I love shopping. So does my mom. She shops really slow, but I shop really fast. And I do love new clothes, new style, new shoes, and everything. And yes, Coffeyville does need peace. And that's all.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate you coming in.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you. It's been an honor.
And one of the issues, couple of issues that we are looking at and we work on, and staff works on it, is additional retail, and does include some restaurants. Maybe one day you'll get that Whataburger. But we need people to come to Coffeyville. We need the population to support those sorts of industries, the businesses and restaurants. And those companies all have, I'm sure they all have minimum population requirements. So the more folks that we get to come to Coffeyville, the more likely that will occur. And thank you for coming.
Oh, one more thing. And we need low wine too, because I really want to try their chicken.
All right.
I really want to.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
D'Angelo, is that correct?
D'Angelo.
Yes.
D'Angelo, thank you.
Thank you.
Brilliant.
Any others? All right, there being none, we'll move to old business. First of all, we have no public hearings, special presentations, or proclamations, so we'll move on to old business. Second reading of ordinance G-26-02, an ordinance to amend the fiber rate schedule as currently established as part of the City of Coffeyville fee schedule. Any additional discussion, questions?
Yes, I do.
Go ahead.
I'm just wondering why, so I looked over the chart that was provided for the fee schedule increase, and I'm wondering, I know that it was the lower tiers that's getting the increase. I'm wondering why the business side of the higher tiers and the higher tiers aren't getting the increase when businesses and the higher tier customers are more adept to be able to afford that. As Commissioner Golden stated at our last meeting, we're putting the burden on the less fortunate.
Explanation, please.
Absolutely. Appreciate your consideration again this evening on this topic. So we have been having conversations about the rate structure to try and make sure that we're right-sizing this for our residents here in Coffeyville. The rate structure as presented, as Mr. McDaniel, the fiber superintendent, explained at our last meeting, Really, we're trying to find ways to not only cover our costs of operations, because those are always going up, but to try and make sure that we're competitive. And so with that, on the residential side, as you'll see, the $5 increase on the lowest tier, and the other two tiers are not seeing an increase. At least that's the proposal in front of you. The rationale behind that was really that in talking through that, it was deemed that, all right, we want to try and find a way that we can make sure that we incentivize people to, okay, we want to be able to get them to take on those higher tiers. We want to be able to try and provide higher level internet services for people. The cost differential then for that $15 differential, whereas right now it's a $20 differential from 60 to 80, saying, okay, maybe that'll be a little bit more enticing that people can go ahead and be able to get that higher level of internet service for only an extra $15 a month. So trying to make that a little bit easier for people to make that if they want to be able to get that higher tier. The differential between that second tier and the third tier is staying the same at that $30 increase from 80 to that 110. On the commercial side, you'll see an adjustment really kind of across the board, that those are all increasing. The rationale there is that we are extremely competitive right now. Our prices are frankly way too low on the commercial side. In my personal opinion, this rate adjustment on the commercial side is still lower than probably what it needs to be. But on the same hand, we don't want to raise our rates, double our rates, which would still be competitive based upon what what our competitors are charging those customers today on the commercial side. But we want to try and do this in phases and try and make this an adjustment that, hey, you don't come on with the city of Coffeyville and immediately have you sign up and then your bill goes up double from what you agreed to. So trying to find a way that we can do these increases incrementally. My anticipation would be that come here again in October, November, we're having a conversation about next year. My personal preference is that we have conversations about annual rate increases rather than that we do these things in, okay, we wait for 10 years, we don't do any increases, and then because we haven't done an increase for 10 years, now we have to talk about a 30% increase, 40% increase because, hey, we haven't adjusted rates in a decade. That's historically what a lot of communities are faced with at times, because obviously rate increases of any kind, property tax increases, rate increases for utilities, et cetera, are unpopular. And so it's easier to just, hey, let's just keep rates stable. But at the same time, our costs go up every year. And so it's a lot easier for our customers to adjust to a small $5 a month increase, just a few percentage points every year, than it is if we have to increase rates by 20, 30%. In 1 year. So that's the objective, that we're going to do a smaller increase at this point, even though I feel like a larger increase very well could be still very competitive and be something that we would I believe obtain a substantial market share increase, because we're providing a level of service that I believe is very attractive for our customers and at a price point that is below what they're paying now. So I think that in a lot of cases, our product is going to be very well accepted, especially on the commercial side. On the residential side, there are some programs for those lower income tiers that, frankly, we're not going to match some of our competitors with. Right now they have, I know if you income qualify, that you can get some very cheap internet packages. Those are slower speeds than what we're looking at, even on our lower tier, but they're also a lot less expensive. It's also not symmetrical, so your download speed is higher than your upload speed. With us, with fiber, it is the same. Your upload and download speed are the same, but those companies are also getting governmental discounts or governmental subsidies to be able to offer that product at such a cheap rate.
Chris,
we don't have that.
Could you, and I don't think they have this in front of them, but do you, off the top of your head, recall what the current commercial rates are versus what they're going to?
So
what they have in there is...
I think, just a short summary, even by raising our rates, we are still below other market providers, correct?
Correct.
All right. So even by raising the rates, we're still below the other guys.
Correct. And we are providing at least in my opinion, Granted, everyone can have a separate opinion, but we're providing a better service at a
Second-
cheaper price.
Second point, as an independent, looking at the fiber as an independent department, if you will, is currently not operating in the black. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So it's what the retail would call a loss leader at this point in time, and this increase will help this department to rise to the point that it's no longer a burden on the budget. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right, thank you.
Chris, real quick point. Did you just mention that some of the competitors have programs for either less fortunate or lower income families if they qualify? Possibly it's a lesser service, but a service. Now, did I understand that correct?
You are correct.
Why aren't we offering that?
We don't have that governmental subsidy. We don't have the same opportunities for tax breaks that our competitors do. We don't have the.
What's it going to take to get that?
So
Increase property tax.
Thank you.
I mean, that's what we're talking about, you guys, is from a state and federal standpoint, the reason they have those subsidies is because of higher taxes. Right now, everybody wants to point at property tax as a main issue. We all have lots of taxes, and from a state and federal, they take those resources, and they're the ones that administer that level of program. As a utility, is our objective and frankly requirement to be able to cover those costs. And so our way to get that is to increase taxes or increase revenues, just like the state. So the state is putting those things on, but they are getting those revenues from somewhere. So the commission has to work with staff then on what are ways to get more revenues. Now, we could talk sales tax. We have those options. We do have one coming up. You can talk about other fees that can be associated here, but it has to be a way to generate that revenue to then cover those costs. And states and federal have a lot more ability with the quantity of taxes that they have to do that.
And again, to clarify from the last meeting, the current people that are on the lower tier that are paying $60, if they were to go ahead and go with the $5 increase, they would get an increase of service. It would be a faster, I don't understand the technical speak, but it would be a faster internet service.
correct. It will be an increase from 100 to 250.
And there's no availability for them to stay in the current package they're in at the 100 and pay the $60?
That is correct. That is the proposal in front of you, at least.
Thank you.
And Chris, you spoke to, I'm sorry, Commissioner,
No,
I just
go
want to make sure to specifically answer your question. And you touched on it, Chris, but the rates that are in here for commercial, those are all increases, or are those all remaining the same?
So I believe I think right now we're offering a 50, we might be offering a 50 for 50, I think, at the moment.
Yes, the new fiber schedule for 26 has 50 for 50, 75 for 100, 100 for 250, 125 for 500, and 150 for 1,000.
Right, and I believe our existing price plan has, I think we're sitting at 50 for 50 still, so that is the same, but I think then we're, the 100, I think we're at 70, so I think that's a $5 increase. And then we're adding some plans because we don't currently have 5 different tiers on the commercial side. So I think the 1,000 right now megabits or the 1 gig, for instance, I believe at the moment we are charging $125, so it's a $25 a month increase on our highest tier for the commercial plan. So we're going anywhere from at the low end, we're staying the same, but really as articulated in the documentation previously, that's really very few customers are going to be on that. That's basically for, say, a barber shop or somebody that's just going to have a pay terminal. But anything beyond, if you just need to run a square or something like that, you're probably looking at least the 100 megabit or higher plan on the commercial side. But yes, all of those except for I think the very lowest package of that 50 megabits is seeing an increase from $5 up to the $25 a month increase.
We just pulled it up from that last one. So the bottom tier is not increasing. The 100 megabits is going from 70 to 75. The 250 is going from 95 to 100. The The 500 is staying at 125, and we're adding the 1,000, which will be 150.
So we're trying to be more, expand our offerings, improve our competitiveness from a speed perspective, because our competitors are increasing their speed options for our customers, as well as that those speeds are becoming more and more necessary in today's world with expanding technology and whatnot. To be able to connect all these different devices, you have to have the increased speeds to be able to do that.
Well, and something's going to happen here too. We've talked about, I think last year, so that's a good thing to note for two new commissioners is, when we're serving this many customers and we start adding that staff time, the amount of times they have to be called out, we have to start planning to cover those things as well. I think you just mentioned new technology, the ability to be able to, and this was a debate last time we talked about this, but to remote in to your home network to solve a problem versus having to show up. Right now we're showing up, so all those things are considerations, but not just residential, as you mentioned, commercial as well.
So you said that we're significantly lower than our competitors, correct?
That is correct.
Especially with commercial?
That is correct.
So why don't we look at, as a whole, trying to raise commercial maybe instead of $5, $10? I mean, obviously, if we don't want to run no businesses out, right, or have them cancel our internet, right, our services. But we also don't want to put the burden on people that can't afford it and the less fortunate either. So have we looked into anything like that other than just the $5 on the 2 tiers for commercial? Or you, because
So-
50 for 50 staying 50, and from 70 to 75, 95 to 100, 125 is staying and the 150 is new. So have we looked at increasing the 50 for 50 by 5? Is there a way we can get around it without just putting a burden on our residential and with maybe the business a little increase more than $5?
So a lot of this as well goes back to Mayor Faulkner's point, as far as the cash flow, and the vast majority of our customers at this point are on that lowest tier residential plan. That is the majority of our customer base. So a $5 a month increase on those customers raises a significantly higher volume of revenue than would a similar adjustment on the commercial side. I'm not sure the exact number of commercial customers that we have in any of those tiers, but we would likely need to make sizable, even higher adjustments on the commercial side to be able to compensate for the type of revenue increase we would need if we were to keep that residential bottom tier at 60 to be able to generate the same type of revenue.
I understand.
Have you looked at the option, Chris, on how many customers on that lower tier you're going to lose over $5? I remember many years ago where $5, would have fed my family a meal here and there. And like I mentioned last time, people will go over to Southtown. That's 2 gallons of gas to get somebody to and from work in Coffeyville. $5 is a lot of money to some folks.
I completely understand that, and you're absolutely right that we could lose some customers. I don't anticipate that to be the case. To be honest with you, we've been tracking kind of our new customer additions. We have not at this point really been losing customers at all, unless those customers are moving out of their existing residence or they are line of sight customers that we've had issues with our line of sight system.
Got it.
And so if we start to lose some customers, that certainly would be unfortunate. I wouldn't want to see that happen. But Starlink, we are much more competitive than, and our other neighboring competitors here. If they were able to income qualify, then you're right that they could end up with a cheaper plan than us, with lower speeds, with I think, at least in my opinion, not quite as good of a service. But if that's something that they were wanted to make that adjustment, they certainly could. I anticipate that once we roll out this this change, assuming that it gets approved this evening. We already have some marketing materials put together that our plan is to start going around and paying out door hangers, putting out flyers, trying to really market the fact that now we have fiber in these vast areas of our community which have never had fiber available to them in the past. To this point, we are basically growing our customer base by word of mouth, and without any significant marketing campaign devoted to it. There's been some Facebook posts that Ashley Tapman, our communications director, has done great with, but we're really trying to go door to door to try and let people know moving forward that, hey, we have an option here for you that we think is going to be a great opportunity for you, even with the new prices that we're looking at. My expectation is that we really start to see a substantial uptick in the people that choose to switch to us because of the fact that we are now in their area, that we are, I believe, a better product at, in a lot of cases, a cheaper price. And so if we do lose, half a dozen customers, which I hope that we don't, I anticipate that we will more than make up for that in the fact that, hey, we're going to be bringing on significantly more customers here in the very near future.
One of the things on the opposite side of that we have had is people who have been paying double for years, anticipating fiber coming. And so it used to be, before the fiber crew that we had, there was this idea in town that when you were on the wireless, if you got off, you would no longer be on the list to get fiber.
Right.
And so people coming off, we haven't had the problem. We've had people paying double, hoping to still get that fiber. And since then, we've been telling them, no, there's no special list. You can come off the Wi-Fi and quit paying for it because you're paying for a Cox or someone else. But we've had much more of them than people coming off because of our costs.
So will the APs be shut down?
The APs. Sorry.
Wireless?
Not entirely. We are in the process of trying to convert as many of those customers over from wireless to the fiber as we can, but we have a significant number of those customers that are out quite a ways. We have even some of those customers that are south of South Coffeyville. We have some of them that are in, quite a ways over in Labette County and quite a ways west of Deering. So we're not going to be able to build fiber to them anytime soon. And so we hope that our line of sight wireless service will last as long as possible. But we have no immediate plans to try and build out to them to those distances, at least, when we still have people here locally.
It will remain online?
That is the intent for as long as possible. But that equipment is outdated and it is continually having problems. We just had another one of those wireless systems go down here recently, and we were unable to get it back up. So we've unfortunately lost about close to 20 or so customers from that wireless system, unfortunately, because some of those were in south of South Coffeyville. I'm not going to build to south, 5 miles, 6 miles into Oklahoma when I still have customers here locally that I'm trying to get built to.
And the cost of that older equipment to replace it or to update it is not worth the revenue that you make on those 29.
Okay, all right.
Correct.
And be spring-loaded to increase the fiber in the industrial park.
Yes, so we do have fiber out there, but yes, we do need to continue to build out in the industrial park to be able to serve. Like if we had a big data center or somebody wanting to come in out there, then we would need to expand our fiber network out in the industrial park.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? All right, then, I move to approve the second reading of ordinance G-26-02 as presented.
Second.
Motion is made by Mayor Faulkner, seconded by Vice Mayor Maples, to approve the second reading of ordinance G-26-02 as presented. Commissioner Kendall.
No.
Mayor Faulkner.
Yes?
Vice Mayor Maples.
Aye.
Commissioner Golden.
Nay.
When there's not a fifth here.
At this,
Wait, hey, I think you may be trying to.
yeah.
I'll look at the ordinance real quick, but I don't believe so.
Proxy votes are not authorized.
Commissioner Hendricks would need to be here either virtually or. It's been a while since this has happened.
We're verifying the ordinance. There are some provisions in certain areas where when there is a commissioner missing and it's a 2-2, that there's either a tiebreaker or staff brings it back. And so we need to double check right now which procedure to follow, if it's bring it back later or if there's a tiebreaker procedure. So if you'll give us a moment.
I mean, while I'm looking, why don't you go ahead and go to the next item of business and we can circle back.
Does that motion need to be withdrawn then, for the record?
Need to be on hold.
It's just on hold for the present time.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you all.
All right, let's see. Moving on, we have discussion and action to approve the preliminary plat for the Brickville subdivision. Director of Community Development, Amber Dean, will make comments.
Hello.
And is Bruce Betcher? Oh, okay. And we also have consultants here too. Go ahead, Amber.
So we purchased the 100 acres at the end of '24, and then we began working on the preliminary plat about 18 months ago, and now we're ready to bring it for approval. The reason we chose to move on with preliminary platting is, one, it's a development recruitment tool. Two, it can help us find grant funding, and it's just the next step to be competitive with our other markets surrounding us. Bruce is here to go over that preliminary plat and to answer questions.
Thank you for having me this evening. I'm Bruce Betker. I'm an engineer out of Emporia with BG Consultants. I helped in preparing this preliminary plat for the subdivision in Brickville. That's a name that's so far been floated, but obviously it's open for interpretation for the city. If you see the 11 by 17, a little larger with the color on it. That's the overall preliminary plat. It's 166 lots. As you see, it goes all around. First Street is there on the south. The top right shows just the key map where it's located in the city in the northwest portion or western portion of town. The highlighted magenta dashed through there is a phase 1. So the city said, what's the low-hanging fruit? If we would develop it in phases, what would be the first one? The reason for that is there's a lift station that would service the entire subdivision, and that's down in the southeast corner or between lots 9 and 10. I know the print's a little small, but that's how it would be set up. And also the stormwater detention basins, those are the light blue. So that right now it's grass field and up above. Once you build houses and streets, it becomes impervious and more water shed, so grab it. And then the dark blue is a 100-year floodplain that's shown on there. And so each one of the lots does not have a 100-year floodplain in. We've found through our experiences that banks don't want to loan on, or there's more steps to go through, makes a lot less desirable for a bank to loan. It can happen, but we went into those in the past, and we don't have those shown on here. So, and then if you'll go to the memo I have for you, it's on letterhead. And I'll just skip through a few things really quick. Like I said, 166 lots. It's 100 acres. Phase 1's 44 acres. Then I have some linear footage of water and sewer, lift station and such that will happen. And then tract A and B, so Q, 2, 10, and 100. So that's a storm event of a 2-year storm event, 10-year storm event, and a 100-year storm event. We will actually reduce the runoff with the stormwater improvements that we have shown on And then just for your, if you haven't been through the plating process before development, I just have next steps there. So preliminary plat approval, that's what we're before you tonight. If you would so move forward in the future, then the design of the improvements, so the street and such, we've laid everything out. We understand it'll work. We've done a rough grading, but construction plans need to be the next step so that it actually can be built or bid and built by a contractor. And then from there, a final plat usually coincides with plans, and then bid it out and have it constructed. So action item that I have before you tonight, bottom of the first page there. If so please the City Commission move to approve the Brickville subdivision preliminary plat. So that'd be the action item ultimately. The next page over is just a smaller version of the 11 by 17, little harder to read. That's why I brought the 11 by 17. The next sheet there is a typical lot in the proposed subdivision, the preliminary plat, 80 by 120. And then what we tried to do is just what are your typical setbacks for development, and then a 1,500 square foot home, have that sit on there so you can feel comfortable the size of the lot and size of improvements. And then if you flip the next page, where did we get the 1,500? Whether we pulled something or just right off the internet, excuse me, Google, and just showing you what's a representative of it. So that typical house could be set on that lot. And if you look back at the setbacks, you could do a larger lot or larger residence if you'd like. And then the last page on there is directly south of this subdivision, just to have you feel comfortable with the lot sizes and such. Right off First Street, there's an 85 by 100, and then off West 2nd, off Cheyenne there, it's 85 by 125, so very similar lots. If you wanted to go by and look at a house and see how it sits on there, very similar lot size. With that, I'll entertain questions you may have.
Bruce, thanks. I do appreciate the visuals. With this development, is this if we build it, they will come, or do we have commitments in place for people that are ready and willing to pull the trigger and get into this as a living quarters?
Sure, understood. Good question.
Yeah. No, this is more of a build it, they will come. Our primary focuses on development right now are the 30 units in downtown, and then Gibson Street, which has about 16 lots that we have some grants going through to develop out. Amber mentioned in her comments, and I'll allude on those or expand a little bit more rather. We have competitor cities that have got 100-acre lots, and so if a developer does show up, they want to know who's ready, who's planning it, who's already visualizing it. This has taken us the better part of 2 years at this point, right, from purchase to here. Right. If a grant came up, if significant grants for development like this came up, same thing. We've got work already done. As you notice, this is called preliminary. Sure. Ultimately, there would be a final that would go through some other stages. Commissioner Hendricks called me today talking about this particular lots there, and he thought that perhaps some of them should be a little bit bigger. So we were talking back and forth on that, but ultimately it's preliminary, and no, we're not ready to go build. Or other things would have to happen is First Street, sure, overlook. Sure. You know, we'd have to look at other infrastructure. So this is several $1 million to complete. It's one of the reasons why you see an identified phase one. Where would we start versus putting in all the rest of the roads? But very much a build it and they will come. 2 years ago, the city decided to build 2 homes because we couldn't get anyone to build homes. Right. Fast forward, Thomasville is, I think, 12 of 14. Mm-hmm. We've got the developer doing 30 in downtown. We've done 10 or 12 incentive packages, folks that are just doing it on their own. So this is a movement within Southeast Kansas, I think within the Midwest, within Montgomery County, having a lot of housing meetings. There's a lot of interest, and so we're really trying to be prepared for that interest.
Thank you for the clarification. Thank you.
So you mentioned a 100-year floodplain.
Mm-hmm.
How do you combat that? Now, I went through the flood of '07 here and my parents and my family lost their house. So I have a personal interest in that, as how do we combat the 100-year floodplain, and what could you do to mitigate it? Like be proactive.
That's a good question. With this, what we're trying to mitigate it with is the tract A and B, the lighter blue, so the stormwater detention basins. Yeah, if you, I'm sorry, if you'll go to the left. Yeah. The dark blue is awfully hard to mitigate against the 100-year floodplain. About the only thing that could happen there is if you built soil up or embankment to make it higher than. But there you'd need to do, or an engineer would need to do calculations to make sure if so much water has to pass down, it's this wide, and all of a sudden we made it this wide, that normally raises the water elevation. So we don't want to flood anybody else out of there. So we're trying not to do those improvements within that channel. But the tract A and B, right now the water's shutting off just as it rains. A toad choker comes through, runs right on through, gets right into the creek. These are going to be dry detention basins. So when the rain happens, it'll hit, it'll fill it up, and it'll drain out at an appropriate rate, so that we're not shoving too much water down and getting it into that larger dark blue creek. We're storing it there and metering it out is what we're doing.
Thank you, sir.
And I did notice it appears that the tract B drain goes east into what is shown as the floodplain area. But the tract A drain appears to go south. Where's that going into a stormwater drain? Is that the projection for that drain?
There is, on First Street, there's a culvert that crosses the road.
It just
So
goes into that.
Okay, all right.
it would go through there. And then track B discharges in track C. So C's basically an unnumbered lot, so it'd be public ground.
All right. So
So-
approval of this, if I'm correct, would just represent the commission's and the city's authorization and statement that we're going forward with development, but there's a lot more to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
It could be that we, in 10 years, right now, some of what this represents, we when we started, we had one of these that only had, I think it was like 90 some lots, half acre. So they were big lots. As we've talked to developers, we talked to our engineers, that is not the theme of people out that are buying anymore. They want smaller lots. They don't want to take care as much. It's more affordable. And so we opted to shrink some of these. So you'll see a variety. We do have an acre up there at number 157, several 0.7, 0.8, 0.9 acres, but then you get down into those smaller ones too. So some of those lines can be moved, can be changed. We could have a developer comes in that says, thanks for doing that, that's nice. I want to buy it from the city and I'm going to do my own. Maybe I don't like the way the streets are set. So just because we approve this preliminary does not mean that this is what it's going to look like in 10 or 15 or 20 years. This is just steps for us to continue the process of someday developing this property.
All right. Mary Wilson tried to do this several years ago, and it was put on hold for a lot of reasons. So I'm sure she would be glad that we're moving ahead with this project. Any other discussion? All right, then I move to approve the preliminary plat for the Brookville subdivision.
I'll second.
Motion is made by Mayor Faulkner, seconded by Vice Mayor Maples, to approve the preliminary plat for the Brookville subdivision. Mayor Faulkner.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Maples.
Aye.
Commissioner Golden.
Aye.
Commissioner Kendall.
Aye.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, and backtracking for a moment.
Thank you for having me.
Great presentation.
Appreciate it.
Have a good evening.
You too.
You too.
And Paul, what do you have for us? Any
Well,
consideration?
yeah, the only time I have a vote is when there's a vacancy in the office of commission and you all can't decide who to appoint. So that's when you would call me in to break a tie vote. We're not bound by Robert's Rules of Orders, of course, but under Robert's Rules, if a motion results in a tie vote, the motion fails. Your option would be to table the matter, to leave it like it is. If you leave it like it is, then Roberts would allow at perhaps some future date a motion to reconsider or to reintroduce the topic again at a later meeting. So
All right.
if you intend to discuss it at a later date, I would suggest you table it. If you take no action, the motion basically dies.
So we need to move that the motion be
If you're
tabled?
going to lay it on the table, you need to.
Okay,
you
I
need to
move
make
that the motion be tabled for now.
I'll second.
And Paul, do we call that, is that ordinance be tabled or
The action to approve.
the action to
The
approve?
action, I move
Okay.
that the action to approve be tabled.
Okay. Okay, motion is made by, was that, I'm sorry, you, and then seconded by Faulkner. Okay. Okay. Motion is made by Vice Mayor Maples, seconded by Mayor Faulkner to table the action
Yes.
on ordinance G-26-02.
Yes. that's-
Okay. Mayor Faulkner,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Maples,
Aye.
Commissioner Golden,
Nay.
Commissioner Kendall.
No.
Can we just do it for infinity now?
So we just keep going? Yeah.
At this point, it would just die.
Yes, it just
Okay.
dies.
And so
Yes.
staff would bring it back at a later time.
Yes.
Okay,
All right.
that works.
All right.
Appreciate your looking into that, Paul. Thank you.
All right, moving on. Number 2, Resolution R-26-30, a resolution authorizing the Director of Community Development to execute the BCBSKS Pathways Partnership Agreement on behalf of the City of Coffeyville and to complete all necessary requirements to implement the UP Park Placemaking Project. Director of Community Development, Amber Dean, will make comments.
Hello again. So I'm going to give some background on this Pathways grant. We originally had slated this grant for the parking lot on the east side of this building. That fell through. And while we were working on that project, we had Reawakening and CACF ask Ben and I to go out to UP Park, and we were discussing expanding the UP Park, which is on the corner of 8th and Elm. And they wanted to remove asphalt, expand the green space, and at that time, we didn't really have any funding available to do something like that. When the project fell through on the lot east of here, we decided to refocus on the UP part because it still met all the placemaking requirements for this grant obligation. So we're proposing to remove asphalt, expand the green space, add gazebos, more safety bollards around the UP park. It is removing 10 parking spaces in that area. We do have 773 spots downtown, so we still have plenty of parking downtown. We've spoken with the Midland. They're in support of this project. They don't feel losing those spaces is really going to affect them too much because there's so much parking downtown. And I'm just looking for approval to move forward with this project.
I do want to say that that is not I don't believe that was taken to the Midland Board and voted on. We have notified the Midland and received no negative feedback on that. At least 2 board members, if not
Yes.
3, we've visited with about that.
Well, really, we don't lack for parking in downtown Coffeyville.
No, we do not.
So I think it would be beautiful and much safer because you still, even though that's a park, you still have a lot of traffic that could go in and out and you couldn't,
And
it's just, safety is not an issue there.
if new commissioners aren't aware of this, you can see that picture. There's those 3 sections. That far section has special electric hookups for food trucks to come in. So this UP Park, this has been a plan. This is the continuation of their plan. There is still funding. This funding is specifically Blue Cross Blue Shield. They do still have funding as part of this project that initiated several years ago, and conditioning. We'll continue to move forward with those plans as well.
This is Elm Street. This is Elm.
For the benefit of the audience, the park itself is divided into 3 specific sections. The section to the east has a small section of green space up against the wall.
Yes.
Against the wall of that building, and this proposal would expand that green space so that that east 1/3 is all green.
Yes.
Green space.
Yes, all the way to that median.
And thinking about it, for the different activities that we see in there from time to time, whether it's Awakening Coffeyville Chamber activities, they take up, they're in there, they're in the entire space. And if there was green space over there, it would even be more, I think it would be more amenable. There's power outlets. And there's not going to be any cars parking in that lot while they're having that kind of an event. It would be blocked off.
Correct.
So there's more than ample parking across the street for the post office. And my consideration was, where does the Midland Theater stand on? Because they would need parking for the theater and for Alamo when that's all completed. And as I understand the conversation there is, they don't anticipate having a level of parking for years. Is that correct?
Well, I mean, I think they hope to be complete by 28. That's their anniversary, is that 100 years?
Okay.
That's
So, there's still 2 years, there's still a few $1 million away, but they're chipping away at that very quickly. If you haven't taken a tour of the Midland, it's a good idea to do so with the amazing work that they've happened. But, this isn't going to happen tomorrow or I don't know that there's any plans to complete it this year. They want to go as fast as they can. So
Okay.
I would hesitate to say it's not, but you do then have a venue that you need to start building up and letting people know you can come and being able to fill the 560 odd, seats that are in there. So that will come, but there is plenty of parking.
But
One
at
of
this
the
point, the Midland Theater Foundation is okay with this proposal. Is
Because
that
you're not
correct?
taking out all of the parking spaces, just that 1/3.
Just that one section.
Just that
So
little
we've spoken
section.
with 3 of the board members, and they've all
Yes.
been in support of it.
You're leaving these parking
Yes,
places.
yes. You're
So
leaving-
you're
leaving
not really
2/3 of it.
taking
Yes.
that many spots.
10 spots.
Just 10 spots.
10 spots.
Fine. Okay. Questions? Commissioners?
No, I think it's great. Much needed. Well, if there's no questions, I will move to approve Resolution R-26-30 as presented.
Second.
Motion is made by Vice Mayor Maples, seconded by Commissioner Golden to approve Resolution R-26-30 as presented. Vice Mayor Maples.
Aye.
Commissioner Golden.
Aye.
Commissioner Kendall.
Aye.
Mayor Faulkner.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. Resolution R-26-31. A resolution to authorize the purchase of 2 police Dodge Durangos and all the necessary emergency equipment for the Coffeyville Police Department. And Police Captain Darren Daly will make comments. Captain?
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Before you have the resolution to purchase 2 police vehicles along with all the necessary emergency equipment. The police department has consistently budgeted and implemented a rotation plan for our patrol vehicles. Some of these vehicles have been in use 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and incur more mileage and wear than most other city vehicles. With the purchase of these 2 vehicles, we're hoping to continue to reduce maintenance costs and continue to utilize reliable vehicles for the department. Staff recommends for the purchase of 2 Dodge Durangos for the cost of $109,155.40 from Superior Emergency Response Vehicles in Andover, Kansas. This will include all necessary emergency equipment and graphics. These 2 purchases have already been approved in the budget for this year, so I'll happy to answer any questions.
So this is part of the rotation plan.
Yes,
No additional funds are required because it's already been budgeted.
that's correct.
So that's a correct assessment.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Captain Daly, will there be any add-ons needed in the future, in your opinion, such as maybe plate readers, microphones on the exterior of the vehicle for interviews with suspects, things of that nature?
Well, with the Axon program that got approved, that will all come with those vehicles.
That's all inclusive?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? Any
No.
questions? All right. Then I move to approve Resolution R-26-31 as presented.
Second.
Motion is made by Mayor Faulkner, seconded by Commissioner Golden to approve Resolution R-26-31 as presented. Commissioner Golden.
Aye.
Commissioner Kendall.
Aye.
Mayor Faulkner.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Maples.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Captain.
Captain. Number 4, Resolution R-26-33, a resolution to authorize change order number 5 with Talent Systems to reduce the cost and scope of the automated metering infrastructure project. Director of Electric, Chris Weiner, will make comments. And we're always glad to hear about cost reductions.
Yes, indeed.
Absolutely. I know here lately I've always been coming to you asking for more money. So glad to be able to come and say, hey, I'd like to be able to have this change order approved, to be able to go ahead and finalize this project out, move forward with that, and be able to have this project scope changed to be able to save approximately $90,000. The gist of it is the contractor was supposed to replace a lot of electric and water meters throughout the city. They didn't end up doing as many as what they were planned to do. Our crews, the electric and water crews, ended up having to do a significant number of those. Reason being anywhere from they couldn't find the meter to that, hey, there might have been a backyard with a fence and there was a dog in the backyard. They didn't make entry. Nobody was home to let them in with letting go ahead and bringing the dog inside type situation. And so the contractor left. We ended up having to go back and do the install ourselves. So ended up being that we did a significant number of the installs that we weren't originally planning to do in-house, and as such, we were able to obtain some cost savings.
Excellent. Where will that $90,000 roughly be going? What fund will it be going back to?
So I wouldn't say that it's necessarily going to go back to any place. It'll
where
just
will it
basically
end?
be a savings from where it would have, when we cut the check, the check will be less. But it'll be a cost savings to both the electric fund, the 800 fund, and the water fund, the 900 fund.
So there's not an immediate plan. Now we have $90,000 to spend it real quick on something else, is what I'm understanding.
That's correct, at least on the electric side. I don't know about the water side, but.
All right. Any other questions?
No.
Questions? All right, then I move to approve Resolution R-26-33 as presented.
Second.
Motion
Saving
is
money.
made by Mayor Faulkner, seconded by Commissioner Golden to approve Resolution R-26-33 as presented. Commissioner Kendall.
Aye.
Mayor Faulkner.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Maples.
Aye.
Commissioner Golden.
Absolutely.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Chris.
And at this time, we'll have the city manager's report.
Pardon me.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There's a packet up on your desk there that is the Coffeyville Regional Medical Center Community Engagement Workshop. Ashley Tapman and I spent several hours at the hospital within this workshop, and I just thought that this information in here you may find interesting. So the Department of Health and Human Services federal office policy came in and led a dialogue. So some of those first pages may not mean much to you just because it was them trying to facilitate conversation. But as you get a few pages in, you will see a welcome from CRMC with their mission, vision, their values, some of the different health criteria they have. They'll go into pictures of the different buildings and addresses, and then they start talking about some interesting stats. 32,151 outpatient visits last year, 21,792 clinic visits. They'll go into the different primary care providers and services they have. So just, I think, overall, really good information. I wanted to bring that back and share with commissioners that may not know. We have been, we've had several meetings with our Parks Advisory Board over the last several months in an effort to expand our reach on redeveloping parks and really making sure we define what a park is. 3 years ago, when the sales tax passed, we were working with a set of information, and as we've talked to the advisory board, we've realized that 10-year plans should be fluid. And so as we've made those changes, of course, you will continue to see those as we go to update parks. We have 2 parks, Longfellow and Eldridge. Not Eldridge. No. Anyways, Longfellow and south of Longfellow, back there, kind of in the flats. I don't remember what that park is called, but those are the 2 parks that are up this year.
It's Eldridge.
Eldridge, is that right? Okay, Eldridge. to have some refurbishment in there. But as a part of that plan, we essentially took about $1 million over that 10 years, and we're able to allocate that across other spaces. And so one of those spaces is our Veterans Memorial Park. For those who have been here, about 2 years ago, the commission approved a location within our cemetery to build a new Veterans Memorial. And we have a Veterans Memorial Park Association. They are working on their 501c3 status. They've been working with some of the other veteran organizations in town, as well as the foundation. And what we hope to do, they have not been able to really jump ahead to start this project. And so the plan is to take some of that parks money, and the Parks Board is still working on this with that veterans group, to what that's going to look like, and staff included, and essentially put in the foundation of what this would look like. And again, that's going to depend on costs and what we have available in sales tax, but that would kickstart this group, and then be able to go to the community and say, this is what it would look like, and go drive by, and here's what your donations would go towards, because it's very difficult right now to imagine that. As I've researched these, often will take multiple years to get enough funds to break ground, and that's when people have already donated for small names and plaques and such. So this would be a jump start to that, because it's on city property, because the city would ultimately be the owner of this memorial, and obligated to take care of it. Just feel like it's a good starting point for us to kind of build that foundation. There's been some posts online, some commissioners have asked me about, so that's why I'm just telling you today kind of where we're at. It's still with the Parks Advisory Board as we move forward and make these changes, as well as our staff.
Ben, what kind of a figure are you looking at with that jump start?
I think we were planning on $160,000 is what the parks sales tax could allot to that. Again, that would be dependent on, does the Parks Advisory Board feel that's enough? Is it too much? We have to look at the full 10-year plan. That'll also depend on the quotes that come in. If those quotes come in significantly higher than that, we'll have to readjust. Of course. But what we were thinking is, when we did this initial step of that plan, is probably that $160,000 to get it going.
Thank you.
Yeah. The other thing that has come up is we have our current Wall of Valor.
Wall of Valor.
Yeah, Wall of Valor, a couple hundred feet to the west of that. And there's been some concerns from folks that donated to that when it was built, and what's going to happen there. The Veterans Association, with commission approval, because that would have to happen, would plan to take the plaques from, the names from there, and include them automatically into the new memorial. And then what they would like to do is take those and find another location, such as the Veterans Stadium, that has a lot of plaques and things on it, and add those plaques there. So that, again, these are things that are on the table. These are options that our Parks Advisory Board will work with this foundation and staff on, and ultimately bring to commission for those decisions. No final decisions have been made. There's just a lot of activity out there on what we're doing, and so people have questions. So I wanted to bring that to let commissioners know.
Would that be notifications to the people, the family members of the names that are on that plaque, and making sure that's something they're comfortable with as well?
Some of it is notification, but a lot of names on there that aren't necessarily connected. That's not something that the city has maintained.
Certainly.
Part of why we're trying to get in on this early on is to make sure that as groups that volunteer come and go,
Right.
that the city can maintain those databases. Right now, there are people still here in town that help build that,
Right.
and so they would be the resources.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just as a point of reference too, the existing wall, behind the existing wall is the old original.
The original wall, yep.
And that was actually constructed after World War II. And that was actually a rose garden. And those who paid to have those rose bushes put in there at that point in time, as I understand it from family members, was that they paid and they understood that rose garden would be there, and I use the word that was used at that point in time, in perpetuity, meaning forever. Well, obviously that didn't happen, And the second wall has now appeared in front of that, and we're starting to hear, like you say, all these vibrations from the community. Well, what about, what would, third wall? What's going to happen to the plates that are on there? So there's a lot of chatter out there. So they need to
Yeah.
understand that those names are going to carry forward.
Yeah. Veterans Memorial Association called me and said, we didn't put that in those Facebook posts. We're going to go back and edit those. So those posts hopefully will be edited by them to include that so people know. There is another veterans project from another group in town going on. This group would like to, if you've seen in Independence in November, for the whole month of November, on the electric utility poles, there are 5-6 foot long banners of veterans. And so they have come through with ideas for how to pay for this, how to get it installed. Of course, the city would have to support. This is something we're hopeful to have everything put together and bring to commission at our next meeting. But this group is trying to put this together to be ready for November to celebrate Veterans Day, or excuse me, it's the whole month of November this year. And so we're actively working on that plan to bring that to commission. You'll see a variety of communities throughout Kansas that have that as you drive through. Oftentimes it's their downtown. Right now we're not focused on the downtown because of the quality of our poles and the age of them. The brackets that are more affordable would really tear them up. So we're looking at 11th Street and some of the other areas in town. We'll be bringing that to you hopefully this next meeting.
When Independence does it, it looks fantastic.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah. The 8th Street Water Project is going to be kicking off here in just a few weeks. I think we announced it as the 23rd. We've put press releases out, talked to the school district, specifically around the school district. The plan is to not, this is a 270 calendar days that they have to complete this project. So the plan would be starting on the far end of this project, and by the time we got to the school, that disruption would not be as much because school would be out. Of course, there are summer programs that happen. We don't believe, and again, I want to knock on wood and say this because construction, you have to do what you have to do, but we don't believe there'll be any significant road closures. There will be perhaps going down into one lane as they're working on those projects. There will be holes in people's yards, businesses' yards, the schoolyard as we connect up those new lines. There will be disruption within a half a day to a full day on not being able to have water. Those people will know when it's their turn to have that turned off because we switch over those lines. But that project is kicking off here in the next 2 weeks. And it will be, as Jim Wright's word, it will be messy. And it will be, and we'll be doing our best to, as well as our contractor, to communicate with everyone infected as we go.
It's going to
Not
have to be
affected,
messy
impacted.
before it gets pretty.
Yeah. This is, we're on our way to then redoing the street as well, which will probably happen in 27. So this is a good thing on that street, well needed. It also helps us with some lead line relocations that the federal governments are going to require us to do. It's a big street that had some unknowns on it. So as we're replacing these, that limits that number that we'll have to eventually replace.
Ben, a couple of my constituents are business owners on 8th Street, and they're curious. They rely on daily deliveries, trucks coming in and out, delivering product, taking product back out. Will there be a huge disruption or will there be some sort of an access to each individual business just to accept their deliveries?
Yeah, there's unlike some of the street projects where driveways are taken out and things. This is a lot of boring, so there'll be holes. There'll be holes in yards.
Put the big steel grates over them at least, or?
Well, in yards, not necessarily. Now, again, I say this because until you start digging, you don't know what's there. But
Certainly.
Generally speaking, the water lines are not in driveways or that level of access.
Okay.
And so that should remain.
Okay.
Right. The water line usually is coming out into the middle of a yard and then into the house. versus under a driveway. Now, we've seen that where they could be under driveways as well.
Of course.
It just really depends. And so we will be learning and figuring out what that disruption is as we go along with this project as well. And we'll be, our folks will be notifying people as we make determinations on the extent, the impact.
So they can schedule their deliveries around the construction.
Yeah, and this is also a 270 days starting on one side
Sure.
and moving, and so it's going to move fairly rapidly. The construction of the street in 27 will be
Right.
much more of an impact.
Right. Thank you.
We did have a work session on sales tax. That will be at our next meeting. We get hear back from Garth with Gilmore and Bell. We have that data there in resolution, so that will be at our next meeting. And that's all I have today.
Thank you, Ben.
Okay. I'd like to talk trash for a minute. We're talking trash
We
again.
talk trash a lot.
We talk trash a lot. Just as an example, on the positive side, there were 2 issues in my neighborhood. Mattress out on the curb, and then excessive amounts of what looked like construction trash that were sitting out on the streets. And I went and did a little knock and talk myself, and as it turned out, city staff, code enforcement, had in fact been to those locations 1 hour prior, and phone calls had been made, and they were scheduled for pickup. I then called Waste Connections, and I can't remember her name, but she said, yes, we did get calls on those properties, and they're scheduled for pickup on April the 3rd, which means they're going to sit there for practically a month. And I suspect that happens all over town, even if someone is aware. So we need a better way to get those items picked up, so that they don't just sit there for a month, even if someone puts it out on the curb and says, oops, my bad, I forgot to call, and they do, and they've made the call late, but it's going to sit there for a month. And there's spots all over town where that occurs. Also, if it's a rental and the renters move out and leave mattresses and furniture sitting on the curb, who's going to call? The next door neighbors are not authorized. You have to be the property owner, and if the owner's out of town and doesn't know about it, stuff could sit there for 2 and 3 months, and we've seen that.
I've seen that happen.
So we've seen that happen. So we need to review that contract or figure out a way to make these issues go away, because it really is, 4th Street is a major thoroughfare.
And it looks terrible.
And it looks terrible, and we need to fix that so that, the first impressions meeting we had, people driving through,
Yeah.
they won't see that.
I don't disagree. When we talk about looking at a contract or what does the city do, we continue to forget that there's personal responsibility in all of these things. To your point, what our neighborhood preservation team is doing is when they see issues, going and knocking on doors, talking to people, trying to educate them. So I would ask that as people see that, you need to report in through either our city website or calling into neighborhood preservation and notifying. And so our teams can go out there. We've got 2 full-time people for all streets in town, and so they may be in another neighborhood and not see some of those things. And so when people tell us and we find out, we try to go take a proactive approach to getting that resolved sooner. But again, this is that balance of that personal responsibility and the government continuing to just take over and do it costs money, and we come back to you asking for more and more funds. So it's a revolving wheel. But I think generally what we're finding and why we're doing that neighborhood preservation is that oftentimes it's a lack of education. There are going to be those exceptions, like you've mentioned your street, and we've talked about some of those exceptions before, that we have to address, and we have to address differently. Sometimes just talking to them is not going to work, and then you have to go through the legal system and the court process. So, but as people see those, please report those in through those appropriate channels so that they can be on our radar. We can go out and address as best as we can within our legal boundaries.
Well, just we need to keep on doing what we can do in order to improve that situation, because it's not pretty.
All right.
But I must say, when I had some bulky items, I called, they were very friendly. They told me what I needed to do because I asked about details about how they wanted it presented. I got, I did what they asked me to do, and it was gone. They did a great job.
But again, personal responsibility, and maybe.
It's my
maybe,
responsibility to call.
I don't know if we have the ability to put that in big block red letters on the utility, call in for curbside pickup. But that would be a good place to put it.
Yeah. We've got door hangers where we regularly put things on Facebook trying to educate. Again, we're knocking on doors. At the two that you found today where we already knocked, they just learned how to do bulk trash. Of course, I can't force them to do it the right way the next time, but hopefully they're going to learn that, and they're going to tell the neighbor on either side. And that's the way we, as we've talked about, we had a trash service for multiple years and people were trained a certain way. Now we're in a new trash service, and we're in our second year, continue to train everyone in town how this is done differently. And we'll have this contract for, I think it's 10 years as well. And so we'll all get used to it for 10 years, and then it'll change again, and we'll have to go through this. But education and getting out and talking to people, I think, is going to go a long way for us.
Okay, one other question, and this is, we've probably addressed this before, and I slept since then, but I continue to get calls and questions. Could you go over the remaining stanchions on the south side of 9th Street towards the east end of the block? The big stanchions that still remain, that were the supports for the old tile awnings.
Oh, yes. That's on the list to get done. So that was a project, that's got to be over 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. It was stopped there because of the Reawakening building. Was that 2 meetings ago or 3 meetings ago? We just approved that final project with CDBG, and we have reached out to Taylor Crane, who was the contractor to finish those, and we are on their list. But, that's one of those things where you're on a list versus when you're contracting out and you give money. So they will get to that.
So they are
Do we
coming
have
down.
do we have a date, or it's on their list?
It's on their list.
Yeah. Because we've already paid to have that done.
It's on the list. All right, it's coming down.
Perfect.
All right.
Ben, would this be the appropriate time to discuss what I asked you about earlier in reference to the UTVs, ATVs?
Yeah. This is
This is more towards the commission. I was not part of the ordinances on the side-by-sides and making them street legal and the times of day and night that they could and couldn't be on the road. I've had several people that do enjoy that and use that. They go to ball games, soccer games, things like that, and especially with daylight savings time. The cutoff is 9 p.m., but it's still daylight, and they don't want to be out of compliance. So it's been asked for us to revisit that, look at the times possible, either amend or abolish. So I was not part of the initial planning, and that's something I'd like to discuss at some length.
As extending it to dusk, perhaps?
That's definitely a possibility, dusk till dawn type thing, or, if they're a street legal vehicle with light signals, license plate, all that other things, some people have said, why does it need to be a certain time?
I think it was a safety issue.
Okay.
Because they've got everything, but they're still an open.
So is my wife's Jeep.
Well,
I'm just saying,
yeah.
it's a safety issue.
what I recall, I think, is noise as well,
Okay.
and later hours, even if it's still light. But what we will do is we'll pull up the minutes from that meeting, and we can bring that ordinance and have a review and discussion on
Excellent. Thank
it
you.
the next meeting.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Did you want to read this?
No.
Yes. I didn't know if you guys were
may I-
talking about tabling it or,
Well, I wouldn't table, may I address it?
We were just not gonna
May I
say.
address it?
yeah, that's fine. I'm
All
just, whatever we do, he asked me to read it.
Former Commissioner Castler, unable to be here this evening, had presented a written letter, 2-page, and I'm going to call it an impassioned statement considering an old issue about railroad crossings and the continued deterioration. And he had asked Commissioner Kendall to actually read this into the record. Personally, I think it would have more impact that we wait and let former commissioner come to the podium and read this himself. So it would be read in at that point and then also be presented more effectively to the citizenry on TV. That's just my recommendation, but if you choose to read it, you may.
It does say on the very first, a letter to be read on my behalf at the next commission meeting. That would be Mr. Kessler's wishes, I believe.
Well,
Yeah,
but he
that
could
was
also
what
come
he
do it
spoke to me
himself.
about, was trying to get it, make sure to get it read.
I think that Mr. Mayor, my view of our agenda and what commissioners can bring, that would be appropriate for a commissioner to bring something to read, Paul. So it's up to each commissioner and what they want to visit with or talk about in their time.
I'll go ahead and read it as he asked. It says, "To the City Commission of Coffeyville, I'm asking that this statement be read into the record as I cannot be present today. I would like to once again direct your attention to the deteriorating state of the railroad crossings in our city. The last time I brought this issue to this body, I was told the solution lies with our state representatives. Since then, we have continued to sit on our hands. Meanwhile, these heavily used crossings, which are essential to our daily commutes, continue to degrade and cause documented damage to the vehicles of Coffeyville citizens. Because this commission, acting as a unified body, carries significantly more political weight than any single private citizen, I'm formally requesting that you invite State Senator Virgil Peck and Representatives Ron Bryce and Doug Blex to attend a future meeting. It is time they explain to this community face to face exactly what they are willing to do to fix this problem. I ask that this be placed as an official agenda item for a future meeting. The citizens of Coffeyville deserve a public forum to ask questions and finally understand the city's actual relationship with the railroads. If we are going to be told to talk to the state, then I expect this commission to bring the state to the table. Sincerely, Marcus Kessler." And then attached is a picture that he also sent with, it looks like a bolt or something out of the railroad tie that could puncture a tire or.
Yeah. I'll speak a little bit to this, just on a few things that are mentioned in here. It says, because this commission acting as a unified body carries significantly more political weight. Unfortunately, when it comes to the railroad, there is no weight that we hold. And actually, as referenced, Virgil Peck, Ron Bryce, and Doug Blex, I think those are actually the wrong representatives. Really, we should be going for our federal representative at the state level, and so Moran would be a good one. We have, probably 18 months ago, Thomas put together a Excel sheet with pictures of every railroad crossing, the condition that we would rate them in, as in, poor, extremely poor, horrific. They were all on that high side. Put that all together in a jump drive and gave that to Virgil Peck, who has had conversations with the railroad. But again, I don't know that even that at the state level holds enough weight. It really is an act of Congress. And when I say Congress, I mean at the federal level, not state representatives. The other thing that he does mention in here, placing it as an official agenda item, citizens deserve a public forum. To the mayor's point, this is a public forum, and so we open it up every time we meet for the public to come and have discussions. And you see, oftentimes our room is empty, and so we continue to invite everyone to come and speak to that. But what I would say is, it's not about it falling on deaf ears. It's about it falling to a body who has no control over that. Now, we have talked to the railroad over and over again ourselves. We often interact with them. We've been told things here and there. They don't always happen. It's a large organization. What I heard one of our state representatives say, in fact, I've heard some local people say this too, and I think it will carry a lot of weight, is if every person that crosses one of those railroad tracks, you can look up, especially there on Willow, there is a phone number. Every single person that's listening, when you cross that track, call that number, tell them what track it is, and complain about it. I would say the citizens of Coffeyville jointly acting on this will carry much more weight than this body here, which you guys all, think you're pretty great and have lots of power, but you're not going to move the railroad as a body of 5, like every citizen calling constantly to complain about this. And so that's my recommendation to citizens every time they bring something up. Get on those numbers, call. Next, I would say is reach out to those senators. They want a personal relationship with their constituents, especially Senator Moran at the federal level. That man is amazing, the things that he can get done. We've seen that for our levy. He's brought money to Coffeyville. We've seen at the hospital that other states don't even get. So he's a great resource.
Do we need a motion to be made to have this document entered into public record, or is it just a submission?
I think it's been submitted.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? Commissioners?
Nope,
If
I'm
you
good.
have- All right, then, at this time, I moved to recess to executive session for the purpose of discussing personnel matters of non-elected personnel as permitted by the non-elected personnel matter exception to the Open Meetings Act as set forth in KSA 75-4319B1, to include the city attorney and the city manager, to reconvene in the commission room at, how much time? We need 10 minutes?
If that,
All right, it's, right now, it's 5 after, so 15, and we'll add another 5 minutes for a recess, so to reconvene no later than 8:20.
I'll second.
Motion is made by Mayor Faulkner, seconded by Vice Mayor Maples, to recess to executive session for the purpose of discussing personnel matters of non-elected personnel as permitted by the non-elected personnel matter exception to the Open Meetings Act as set forth in KSA 75-4319B1, to include the city attorney and city manager, to reconvene in the commission room at 8:20 p.m. Mayor Faulkner.
Aye?
Vice Mayor Maples.
Aye.
Commissioner Golden.
Aye.
Commissioner Kendall.
Aye.
during the executive session, and I move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion is made by Mayor Faulkner, second by Vice Mayor Maples to adjourn. Can I see a show of hands? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.